You kind of look like you're in one of those magazines right now.
Great. I want to be in the magazine. Welcome to Marketing Beat. I'm Ameet, and I'm the owner of Ameet Khabra Marketing Inc., which is an online advertising agency that specializes in pay-per-click advertising. And this is my co-host.
I'm Beverley Theresa. I'm a social media consultant from Edmonton, and I help businesses improve their social media marketing. I never know what to say. So what are we talking about today, Ameet?
Today we are talking about why social media cannot be your entire digital strategy.
Yay! Okay. Thank you. So the first point I want to talk about is it's bad for driving traffic to external links, so including your own website, because if you know, like the algorithm favors people staying on each platform, and that goes for all of them. So Facebook, if you link externally, it's going to be, your reach is going to be lower. And then Twitter, same thing, like it might, like, you know how Twitter has the most popular tweets and you can like read them that way instead of in an actual timeline. They won't promote the ones with external links as much as they would just like normal tweets. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so essentially they're trying to keep everybody on their platform.
Yeah. And like if you look at Instagram, you can't even link in your captions. They only give you one opportunity for a link. So you really have to be like link in bio, link in bio, link in bio if you want that traffic to your website.
Yeah, very true. And a fair point.
And also, so some people don't even have a website, which still amazes me because if you have Google My Business, I believe, or if you have Google in general, you can have a free website, which is like amazing. And like just take advantage of the free website. Relying on third parties to house your content. It's like, remember that one day or those couple of days in the past when Instagram went down? And I know people who don't have an online store, like they don't have a Shopify or any e-commerce thing, and they just sell things right directly off their Instagram. So people have to DM them, then they have to DM them back, and then they DM back and forth to place an order for one thing. So even though like that's not making it easy for your audience to buy from you, because some people don't want to go through that hassle. But also when Instagram was down, it's like that day you didn't make any sales then, or like within those hours no one bought from you because they couldn't access your store. So it's really important to have somewhere else where you actually own the content that you're posting and can control it. And also like, okay, so you're selling on Instagram, but what about the people who don't want to scroll way down in your feed to see what else you have for sale? So they're missing out on that one black jacket, motorcycle jacket that they really liked before, but they have no idea that it's still available in your shop because they're not the type to scroll down. Whereas with a website, you can just filter jacket or black jacket or whatever it is and buy the jacket right there. So it's just like, I wouldn't rely on Facebook because what if one day your page gets terminated or your account gets terminated for some reason, or Facebook crashes, which will probably never happen, and then it deletes everything. It's like your whole business is gone.
True. That makes a lot of sense.
And then changing algorithms, so I kind of touched on that already with external linking. You can see how much things change, and even like the Google algorithm, but like Facebook, Twitter, everything else, they'll change, and it's like you don't have any say in it. So your external links aren't going to perform as well as an actual video or a photo, and video will serve video more to your audience instead of photos, and it's like it's really hard to control and keep up with these changing algorithms. So it's kind of a struggle for small businesses who are running their own social media. And so like relying on organic social media it should not be your entire strategy. Like you really need to get pay to play, or you need to get a budget in order to reach your target audience on social. And it's important to remember social media is, in fact, marketing. So it's not like it's part of marketing. It's not like the end-all be-all of marketing. So you're reaching, when you're doing ads on Facebook, and we talked about this last week on Ameet's, why PPC isn't your sole strategy. Ameet's point was with search ads, sorry, I'm like trying to think and like doing something else at the same time. With search ads, you actually get people who are searching for your product or service. But with Facebook ads, it's like you're serving people who didn't know they needed your product or service, or maybe they did, but they didn't know they needed yours specifically. So it's kind of like you want to have the search ads for people who are looking for your product or service, and then you also want to have the Facebook and the social media ads for people who aren't aware of your product or service. And then the time and investment on social media can be a killer for small business owners as well, like trying to run their own social media. If they're not doing it right, they're probably just wasting time. If they don't have a strategy, they're probably just wasting time. And with social media, it's important to remember bad publicity spreads really fast. And like, I'm not saying don't go on social media, like by no means am I saying that. I'm just saying you have to remember, like, bad publicity spreads really fast, so you have to always be connected to your social media accounts and what you're publishing and your communities, because you don't want something to get out of hand and blow out of proportion because you weren't there to respond to it, and people just assume things and they go off on their little pitchfork thing that they do.
Okay, fair. But don't, for the people who, I guess, prefer to have an agency just do it and let them deal with it and make it seem like it's them and blah, 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 blah. Do you think that there's added pressure on those agencies then? Because I kind of touched on it a little bit last week on my end, but I'm wondering if it's the same thing for social media.
I mean, yeah, because you're paying a large sum of money for someone else to manage your social, and if you're not driving conversions and you're not getting any leads and you're just reporting on impressions and reach, it's like, well, that didn't do anything. So you often see specific agencies reporting on metrics that don't even matter or are considered vanity because they can't tie back to an actual sale or some sort of sale tactic or strategy. So, yeah. Does that, okay, what are you saying?
I'm saying that it doesn't weigh on the agencies when the strategy is only social media.
Oh, yeah. Especially if they're like an overall digital marketing agency. It does, because, like, I don't know. It does. Because you have generalists doing the work who are good at everything, and they're not super great at social media. Or you get fake digital agencies that say they're good at social media, but they were just doing automotive marketing. Like, you wouldn't get like a handyman to fix your toilet because it's leaking. You'd probably hire a plumber because plumbers specialize in toilets or whatever they do. It's just a matter of like getting someone who specializes in it. And most agencies don't have the capacity to just have a social media person because there's other things that companies need and want, like SEO and PPC and websites and blah, blah, blah. So you're going to hire generalists to do it, and then the agency is going to feel pressured, like, okay, we have to perform because even though you're not specialized in social media. That's why they should outsource to us.
Yeah, I know. It just makes more sense.
Right? Digital marketing is more than just social media, obviously, because it's like conversion rate optimization. Like, what does your sales funnel look like? What does your sales page look like? Where are you sending people? And like, and not a lot of social media people know, like, not to send them to xyz.com as opposed to a landing page. So you have to like think outside of the box when it comes to your social, because it helps to have that knowledge of, okay, now that they're off social media, what are we doing with our website? Or we shared a link to our blog post on social, which was great content marketing, but at the end of the day, like, what does that do? Are we driving somewhere after they click that blog post and read it? Like, what's our CTA? So I don't know, you just get a lot of people, like social media people, who are just siloed into social, and that's all they know and that's all they learn, which is good because they're specialists, but they also have to have that general knowledge as well. And Cobot touched on this on their last live about being generalist versus a specialist. And I think the consensus was you start as a generalist, figure out what you really like and love, and then you go turn into a specialist in that. But because you have this background, you can help clients even better.
It makes you more well-rounded. I think I touched on this last week as well, where
yeah,
I didn't start off, PPC was what I started off with, but then eventually I decided to go off to an agency that rounded up my skills on the content, social, and SEO side of it, even web dev to a certain degree. And then eventually at one point I realized that I just like PPC more. So that's what I decided to do. But I still have an understanding of basic SEO training. I know a lot about video marketing now. I've got some idea of social media, so I'm able to figure it out for the client. And especially when we get new ones, it's easy for me to kind of put a strategy together and be like, here are all the moving pieces that you need to have.
Yeah.
We only focus on one, unfortunately, but here are recommendations for the other guys. Yeah.
But yeah, no, that totally makes sense, and I totally agree. Like, that's the way that I work too, because it's like, well, I've done PPC when I was at the agency, but hell no, I'm not touching your PPC. Like, no, you can talk to Ameet about it, because I fucking would suck at it.
But I think my logic for it is, and it's something that we've talked about 1,000,001 times, is that I'd rather be very good at one thing than mediocre at it.
But you're still not like one of those people who are siloed into PPC and you don't understand how everything works together. Because, I mean, if people are like investing all their money in a social media manager and that's all, they're like, okay, I'm just going to use social media. It's like, well, that social media manager, do they know about all the other pieces of digital marketing, or are they just social media and that's it? Like, once they put in a link to your website, that's done with. So, yeah.
Makes total sense.
We should change it.
Business that only wants to focus on social media, very much like with the business that only wants to focus on PPC, is not a business that was built to last, really.
No.
The thought that I think for me, I wouldn't want social media to be our only strategy just for the fact that I know that it would cause a lot of stress. Because if something didn't work, it didn't work. So you're essentially putting all your eggs in the basket. So if one platform goes down, there goes my entire revenue, essentially. Like, what happened at that point? Like, there's no organic traffic coming through because I put all the money into social media. But what do you do at that point? And I think also, if you're a business that just believes that social media will be the magical fix, I don't think it's that you're in a business or you've created a business that is actually going to last. That might sound.
And it's shitty because people are like, oh, it's so trendy. Oh, I need to get on social media because everyone's on social media and blah, 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 blah. And they just try and follow the trends. Like when Snapchat was popular, all businesses were like, should I get on Snapchat? We're going to get on Snapchat. And it's like, why are you going on Snapchat if your audience isn't on it and you're not going to use it for like something specific?
We've got a comment and a question. It seems people start with social media because it's an easy start, which I somewhat agree. What's the next best step for a rounded strategy?
Look at like your marketing as a whole. Like, I feel like social media is like the easiest step probably because it's like that's what people are familiar with because that's what they personally use in their personal lives. But like, look at your marketing as a whole. Like, are you doing traditional marketing as well? What can we do on the traditional side or what can we do with social media that will complement our traditional advertising? What other digital marketing strategies are we doing? Like, are we going to SEO our website? Are we going to do PPC? Where's our audience? What do they pay attention to? What are they ignoring? And it's just kind of like, yeah, you can have a strong social media strategy, but it has to encompass all of your marketing too. So when I do strategies for my clients, I'm just like, what else are you doing for marketing? Because it can't just be social media.
But it's really worth it because what I really think is you're never really going to know what exactly the issues are on your website unless you have more people on your website.
Yeah.
So what I like to do with a lot of clients, or actually, a lot of them, is I'll install like heat maps, a video recorder, a form fill. Watch or so we'll see where people drop off. We'll look at the funnel too. If people are dropping off, we want to know why they're dropping off, you know? And more often than not, it's usually a form issue where it's too long of a form or the product is priced too high or something along those lines. But it's still good to know, and you only know that if you have more users on the site.
Yeah.
Like if you get 10 users every 20 days or something, you're not going to have enough data. So you need to create situations where you're going to be able to have something that's statistically significant for your business, so you can make decisions on how to actually improve your website.
See, and this is another, like, you're an example of why PPC or like one type of digital marketing shouldn't be the end all be all, because you're talking about heat maps and funnels and blah, blah, blah. If you were just PPC, you'd just be like, here's some ads. This is the landing page by...
That's what most people do, but really at the end of the day, it's more, you have to add in CRO to it, I think.
Yeah.
I think PPC and CRO go together. PPC and SEO go together. PPC and fucking social media go together. But yeah, like everything goes together, even content in PPC, right? So like, we're working on a strategy. We're almost finishing it for a client that we started working with about a month ago. Because we're looking at everything, we're going, okay, we've got a couple sales, which is fantastic, but it's not as great as I wanted it to be, so there's some kind of disconnect. So we sat there and we looked at it and we went, okay, well, your landing page is mediocre at best. So here are some changes that you need to do here, but then also when we go into the checkout process, this is what's happening. And to add it on top, because when we were on the phone call with him, and this is the first time I had spoken to him, Quinn was doing the handling beforehand, he sounded lost. Like he had no idea what the hell he was doing.
I know who you're talking about.
Things, and had no idea. So we took out the time and went, okay, let's look at video marketing, let's look at your SEO side of things, let's look at social media, let's look at your content creation, even though they're working with a company to do that. I was like, here's some ideas I could use. And the way that I went around it was essentially I looked at their PPC account and that what's working and what isn't. And let's take those elements and apply them to video marketing, to social media, to content. Because really in reality, if it's working in PPC, it'll work on all the other platforms as well. So, I mean, all of them work together. And I think that's what a lot of companies need to understand a little bit more, is they all work together. So really in reality, there should never be any disconnect between the departments if everyone's a specialized person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Thank you for sharing your story, Ameet.
Of course.
Should we end it?
Yeah, unless anybody else has any questions.
Kareen is coming to Edmonton for Next Big Thing in September.
Excellent. I look forward to meeting you.
Connectionista. I always have trouble like with her name, and then like I was trying to find her email address, and I was like typing in connectionista, and I was like, what is it again? But now I know it. It's just hard for me to remember.
That's fine.
I love her though. She's like legit super cool. You'll like her a lot.
I feel like I probably will.
She's like us.
Fashionista with a connection. Oh.
Thank you. Connectionista.
Oh, there we go. That's actually quite clever.
I know.
So much more original than like, I don't know, Hello Beverly.
Clever girl.
Hey, I am the original. I've had this handle for 7 years.
I'm going to be AdWords woman.
Go for it. Try.
Or lady. Or boss.
AdWords
babe. Puke.
Oh, God. Okay, so if nobody else has any questions, we're going to sign off. We are here every Wednesday at 10 a.m. PST and 11 a.m. MST. If you are stuck on content creation, Beverley Theresa has launched a new freebie, I guess you can say, on content creation. It's a 15-page white paper, I guess you can call it.
Blueprint.
It's a blueprint. Okay,
I should have made it blue.
Blueprint. It is quite fantastic. I would highly suggest that you check it out. If you want to learn how to audit a Google Ads account really freaking quickly, you can hop over to my website and download our Google Ads account checklist or audit checklist site. And yeah, next week we're going to be talking about short-term and long-term tips on lowering your CPA.
Cool.
Yeah, very exciting. But,
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Bye. You have to remember to save this live. Bye.